Dick Grayson's hair has changed a lot throughout the DCAU. And for some reason, both Bruce Timm and you guys wanted us to talk about it.
Because it's Thursday.
Hello, Watchtower Database. Welcome back to the Vanishing Point, the only bi-weekly show that happens on Thursdays that you guys watch because you can't afford cable. Back when Bruce Timm was promoting Batman and Harley Quinn, he said this.
But I'm sure some fan online will figure out exactly how this works somehow. So, I mean, you know, when did Nightwing get his hair trimmed?
And we joked about it a time or two, so now we're finally just gonna lay it all out there. From a continuity standpoint, the first hairstyle we see Dick sporting in the DCAU is this charming cut. This is seen in Robin's Reckoning, set sometime in the mid-1980s, when we see his parents, the Flying Graysons, die from a trapeze cut. It's like a haircut, but it's rope. Sometime after Dick's 6 to 7 year training period, we see him sporting this haircut as Robin in a flashback in Batman Adventures Volume 2, number 12. Ah! Flash forward a couple years to the early 90s and we see for the first time the Dick Grayson we all know and love from the Batman the Animated Series era. Throughout the series we see his hair spiked to different degrees, sometimes with bigger cowlicks than others, other times with the front spike kind of swooping down over his forehead. This is likely due to disheveling his hair when getting into the Robin costume, so he's not fighting crime with this slick back fancy pants haircut that we see the Dick Grayson of the time having. Fun fact, originally Dick's hair in Batman the Animated Series was going to look like this, as seen in the writer's Bible. He keeps these two basic hairstyles up until he quits the Bat family in what I believe to be January of 1997. You can click the card right here to see why. And it doesn't change again until we catch back up with him in Brazil 279 days later. During this portion of Batman Adventures The Lost Years, he still has the slick back cut that we're used to. However, multiple panels show that it's growing further down his neck, signifying the starting growth of his mullet. The DCAU's 1999 rolls around and Dick returns to Gotham as Nightwing with a new cut. You know it, you love it. Talk about a decade's worth of bad hair days clip from Batman and Harley Quinn. Put that in. Don't put in me doing this. I know you're gonna be tempted to, but don't. Once again, while outside of costume, Dick sports a different hairstyle than his superhero counterpart, with his hair pulled back into a ponytail in both the new Batman Adventures and its tie-in materials. Towards the end of the year 2000, Dick leaves Gotham to move to Bloodhaven, as seen once again in Batman Adventures Volume 2, number 12. And we see that the mullet is gone by that point and stays gone up until at least June of 2001. This is where it gets kind of interesting because Dick's hair changes back and forth so much in the span of the next couple years. It goes from this pompadour-esque look that we see at the end of 2000 going into 2001, with sometimes as Nightwing it's spiked a little bit, but then in the summer of 2002, as we've deduced in our Batman and Harley Quinn timeline video, he's back to Gotham with the full mullet and gets his hair cut then by one of Poison Ivy's plant monsters. To me, it's kind of weird that it took so long for the DCAU creative team to realize Nightwing's long ass hair was some kind of a workplace hazard. Because you would think with Batman putting kids in the line of fire, he would have read at least one OSHA handbook. A little over a year later, it seems Dick finally got the point that the long hair was a bad idea, as he kept it short with these frayed bangs. Kind of reminiscent of Brainiac 5, except not blonde. But you know, maybe it could be blonde. Can I be a 12th level intellect now? By spring of 2004 though, we come to find out that Dick has forgotten everything he learned about workplace safety, because here he is back in Bloodhaven with the mullet. Now there were actually plans to give Dick a longer cameo in this time period in a Birds of Prey style Man-Bat story, but that never came to fruition. So this is all we have to go off of during that time period. Past that, Dick has a couple more hairstyles that we see in DCAU esque material in Batman Beyond 2.0 flashback scene set soon after the Return of the Joker flashback. We see Dick once again has short hair, just more spiky this time. And then in the future, we see old man Dick sporting this salt and pepper hairstyle, which kind of reminds me of George Clooney. I'm not sure why, but probably because I needed to find a way to shoehorn in this DCAU inspired Batman and Robin tie-in material version of Dick. Which, doesn't that entire movie kind of take away the premise of Teen Titans Goes to the Movies?
They're finally going to make a movie about me! That's me! That must be me!
Anyway, all of this got me wondering, does it make sense for Dick's hair to go long, then short, then long, then short, and then long again in that small of amount of time? I did the math and it does? Hair grows about an inch every 2 to 3 months. While we don't have DCAU canon height for Nightwing, according to Batman and Superman magazine number 8, Batman is 6 foot and 2 inches tall. And so I looked up a shot of Batman and Nightwing standing next to each other. Batman was about 510 pixels tall and Nightwing was about 460 pixels tall, not including the bottom of their legs. And then I measured my foot up to my knee to figure out how much of a percentage of the body that is compared to the rest of my height. Then I ran that back in to figure out exactly how tall Dick was in comparison to Batman, converting pixels to inches and yada 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 yada. And Jesus, this was too much work for this video, but I did it. Essentially, it came out to Nightwing being 5 feet and 6.73 inches. Then I measured his mullet in comparison to the pixel measurements of his mullet compared to the pixel measurements of how tall he was here, and I converted that into inches as well. The mullet was 20.65% of Nightwing's height, 13.78 inches in total. Since the versions we see of Nightwing with short hair kind of leave a little bit of room on the back of his neck, I averaged out that the amount that needs to be cut is approximately 9.31% of Nightwing's height, which was 60 pixels. And this is a lot. This would take 10 to 16 months to grow. So from the June 2001 short hair Nightwing that we see to the summer 2002 mullet Nightwing we see back in Gotham, it's doable. At least 12 months, we're good, that's safe. But the fall 2003 Nightwing we see in Batman and Harley Quinn to the spring 2004 is kind of cutting it close. It really depends on when we're talking about. Fall starts early as September and spring ends late as June. September to June is 9 months. It's cutting it close, but maybe his mullet's just not as long in Justice League Unlimited. Past all of that only an obsessive person would do, my question for you is, are you fine with his hair growth? Something that's got me confused is it cowlicks or is it calyx? I thought it was calyx, and then James corrected me in my notes to cowlicks. I want you guys to argue it out down under in the Australia box. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to these lovely people who have supported us on Patreon. You're helping me get to a place where I can afford cable. Thanks. I feel like I'm going crazy.
The new face of the Watchtower Database, Honey. She knows everything about Batman. So basically, that's it. All I know is that Harley has 2 butts, Nightwing has a mullet. I've been Maddie Washburn, and I will be Maddie Washburn next week. I love ya. You don't f***ing know. Where is Nightwing?